Hello out there in internet land. I am Jared Case, Curator of Film Exhibitions at the George Eastman Museum and for the Dryden Theater. It's been a couple of months since we closed our doors because we closed down with our nitrate print of Rebecca on New Year's Eve, anticipating the construction that was going on the new entrance for the museum. So we've been closed for a couple of months anyway, but now with so many theaters closed and with no way for us to get our cinematic experience going out there and having that experience where you're sitting in a theater and it's immediate and it's immersive and it's communal. We thought this might be a good time to give you some recommendations for streaming films at home and give you Dryden-style introductions so you're not missing those as well before the point where we can open back up, whether it's from the end of construction or now that this threat is over. So looking forward to that. Now, we are highlighting films particularly that have something to do with the Dryden. So maybe it's something that we have screened in the past, or it's something that we were hoping to screen, or maybe it's something like our choice today that showed at the Nitrate Picture Show. If you don't know what the Nitrate Picture Show is, that is our weekend festival that brings nitrate prints from around the world. This is films from 1951 or before on nitrate film stock, and the Dryden is only one of four venues still in the United States that can show nitrate film. So we are uniquely positioned in order to do this. And we're still hoping to have our 6th edition in June. We did move it from May to June, so we're still selling passes. And if you are optimistic like we are, you can go ahead and buy your pass, and we are going to make a decision one way or another sometime next month about whether we're going to go ahead with the festival, but right now it's fingers crossed. So in order to take advantage of these recommendations, a lot of the picks are going to be coming from 4 major services that if you're not already subscribing to, this may urge you to become a subscriber of one or all of them. The first one is actually Amazon Prime. So if you've already got your Amazon Prime membership, you can use the Prime Video option to watch a lot of these films. It's surprising actually to me how well our tastes align with Amazon Prime, but there it is. The other one is probably not a surprise. It's the Criterion channel, which just launched last year, and this has a lot of the same films that you would find from Criterion on DVD or Blu-ray. And it's the foreign films and it's the older films that really have the patina of class and quality that you would expect both from the Dryden Theater and from the Criterion Collection. Next actually is Netflix. So some of the newer films that we've shown are now on Netflix and for streaming, and another one is Hulu. Actually, they do have some films on there, and the film selection has gotten better over the last couple of years. So Hulu is another one that we will be recommending titles from. So, as I said, we're still hoping to get the 6th Nitrate Picture Show up and running this year, but going back all the way to the first Nitrate Picture Show back in 2015, the first print that we actually showed in that festival was A Star is Born, William Wellman's production from 1937, starring Janet Gaynor and Frederick March. And actually, William Wellman Jr. was touring at that time promoting his book about his father, so he actually did the introduction for that film, which was so special as well. So this is either the first or the second version of this story, depending on how you want to look at it. White Price Hollywood, which came out in 1932 and was directed by George Cukor, had a very similar story. Slight differences, but similar enough that RKO actually considered pursuing legal action against Selznick, but decided against it ultimately. As a matter of fact, Selznick approached George Cukor in 1936 about this film and asked if he would direct it, but Cukor declined because it was so similar to What Price Hollywood, which is funny because Cukor actually ended up in 1954 directing the Judy Garland version of this film as well. So, What Price Hollywood, the 1932 version, was written by Adela Rogers St. John's and was purportedly based on the experiences not only of the marriage between Colleen Moore and her producer husband John McCormick, but also of director Tom Foreman, who committed suicide after a mental breakdown. And this does follow fairly closely in this 1937 version, although both of this film and the 1932 version have to deal with actors or behind the screen personnel. And this is the last time, because in the 1954 version, Judy Garland is actually a musical actress, and then both the 1976 and the 2018 version have to do with the music business wholly itself. So this film has a scene in it where Janet Gaynor's character is actually receiving an Oscar, and both she and March had already received Oscars by that point in time, so they were familiar with what this should look like. Janet Gaynor was actually the first actress to win the Best Actress Oscar for her performance in Seventh Heaven back in 1927. March followed up 5 years later with an award for his performance in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in 1932. Now, this film then was nominated for 7 Oscars, including both Gaynor and March again, as well as Best Picture, but it got an honorary Oscar for W. Howard Green, who for the color cinematography. This was one of the earliest examples of the 3-strip Technicolor process, and it was such a breakthrough. I think it's overlooked now how big of a breakthrough that was for the Technicolor process, and this is only 2 years before Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind. Selznick really wanted a more muted, realistic palette for his color, and in both this film and in Nothing Sacred, which also came out in 1937 and was also directed by William Wellman, that's exactly what he got, and it was such a breakthrough for all color processes and for the medium as a whole to be able to get this natural color in that they decided to give him an honorary Oscar. So on Amazon Prime, you can go and see this 1937 version of A Star is Born with Frederick March, Janet Gaynor, as well as Adolphe Menjou, Andy Devine, Lionel Stander, and even a small part for Gwyn Big Boy Williams. And please go and enjoy that. Think about the Nitrate Picture Show. Think about movies. Go back to the theaters when they open up, and we'll come back with another recommendation.